सभासदों, माननीय सभापति जी।
नमस्कार। Papers to be laid on the table. Sri Hardeep Singh Puri.
Sir, with your kind permission, I lay on the table of the House papers pertaining to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry listed against my name at serial number 1 in the revised list of business for today.
Sri Mansukh Bhai Bandavia.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the House the paper listed against my name at serial number 2 in today's revised list of business. This paper relates to annual reports of the public sector undertaking of the Department of Fertilizer, namely FACT, FAGMIL, MFL, NFL, PDIL, RCF, FCIL, and HFCL.
Sri Sanjeev Kumar Balyan.
मैं आज की राज्यसभा की संशोधित कार्यसूची में मेरे साथी श्री राव साहब दानवे के नाम के सम्मुख क्रम संख्या 3 पर उल्लेखित पत्र सदन के पटल पर रखता हूँ।
श्री पुरुषोत्तम रूपाराज।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आज की दिनांक 13/3/2020 के राज्यसभा की संशोधित कार्यसूची की क्रम संख्या 4 पर मेरे नाम के समक्ष उल्लेखित दस्तावेजों को सभापटल पर रखता हूँ।
श्री संजीव कुमार बालियान।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आज राज्यसभा की आज की कार्यसूची संशोधित सूची में क्रम संख्या 5 पर मेरे नाम के समक्ष सूचीबद्ध विवरण सदन के पटल पर रखता हूँ।
श्री सोम प्रकाश।
Respected sir, with your kind permission, I lay on the table of the House the paper listed against my name at serial number 6 in the revised list of business for today, 13th April, March 2020.
श्री कैलाश चौधरी।
माननीय सभापति महोदय जी, मैं आपकी अनुमति से आज दिनांक 13 मार्च 2020 की राज्यसभा की पुनरीक्षित कार्यसूची में क्रम संख्या 7 पर मेरे नाम के समक्ष दर्शाए गए पत्र सदन के सभापटल पर रखता हूँ।
Reports of the Department Led Parliamentary Standing Committee on Agriculture. Sri Vaiko.
Mr. Chairman, sir, with your kind permission, I rise to lay a copy of each of the 11th, 12th, 13th English and Hindi versions of the Standing Committee on Agriculture 2019-20 as listed against my name in today's list of business.
Reports of the Department Led Standing Committee on Defence. Lieutenant General Dr. D.P. Vats.
माननीय सभापति जी, I rise to lay a copy each of the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th report, Hindi and English version of the Standing Committee on Defence as listed against my name in today's list of business.
Report of the Department Led Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs. Sri Swapan Das Gupta.
Sir, with your permission, I lay on the table a copy in English and Hindi of the third report of the Department-related Standing Committee on External Affairs 2019-20 on the registration of marriage of non-resident Indian Bill 2019 pertaining to the Ministry of External Affairs. Thank you.
Reports of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Food, Consumer Affairs and Public Distribution. Sri Veer Singh.
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आपकी अनुमति से खाद्य उपभोक्ता मामले और सार्वजनिक वितरण संबंधी समिति 2019-2020 के निम्नलिखित प्रतिवेदनों की एक प्रति अंग्रेजी तथा हिंदी में सभापटल रखता हूँ। नंबर 1, उपभोक्ता मामले खाद्य और सार्वजनिक वितरण मंत्रालय, खाद्य और सार्वजनिक वितरण विभाग की अनुदान मांगे 2020-2021 पर तीसरा प्रतिवेदन। नंबर 2, उपभोक्ता मामले खाद्य और सार्वजनिक वितरण मंत्रालय, उपभोक्ता मामले वितरण विभाग की अनुदान मांगों 2020-2021 पर चौथा प्रतिवेदन। धन्यवाद।
Reports of the Department Led Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology. Sri Mohammad Nadimul Haq.
Sir, I rise to lay the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th reports, Hindi and English versions of the Standing Committee on Information Technology as listed against my name.
Reports of the Department Led Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour. Sri M. Shanmugam.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. I rise to lay on the table a copy of each in English and Hindi the following reports of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Labour. 5th report of demands for grant 2021, the Ministry of Labour and Employment. 2nd, 6th report of demands for grants, Ministry of Textiles. 3rd, 7th report demands grants of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Thank you, sir.
Statement regarding government business. Sri V. Muralidharan.
Chairman, sir, with your permission, I rise to announce that government business for the week commencing Monday, the 16th of March 2020 will consist of One, consideration of any items of government business carried over from today's order paper. It contains consideration return of the direct tax Vivad Se Vishwas Bill 2020 as passed by Lok Sabha. 2. Further consideration and passing of the Central Sanskrit Universities Bill 2019 as passed by Lok Sabha. 3. Discussion on the working of the following ministries. 1. Railways. 2. Micro, small and medium enterprises. 3. Law and justice. 4. Rural development and agriculture and farmers' welfare. 4. Consideration and passing of the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Bill 2019. 5. Consideration and passing of the National Commission for Homeopathy Bill 2019. 6. Consideration and return of the appropriation bills relating to the following demands after they are passed by Lok Sabha. 1. Demand for grants for 2020-21. Supplementary demands for grants for 2019-20. 7. Consideration and return of the appropriation bills relating to the following demands after they are passed by Lok Sabha. 1. Supplementary demands for grants for the state of Jammu and Kashmir for the financial year 2019 from 1st April 2019 to 30th October 2019. 2. Demands for grants for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for the financial year 2019-20 from 31st October 2019 to 31st March 2019. 3. Demands for grants for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for the financial year 2020-21 from 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021. 8. Consideration and return of the appropriation bill relating to demands for grants for the Union Territory of Ladakh for the financial year 2019-20 from 31st October 2019 to 31st March 2020 after it is passed by Lok Sabha. 9. Consideration and return of the Finance Bill 2020 after it is passed by Lok Sabha.
There is a correction that your business has been circulated. The finance minister spoke to me, met me, and also requested that this Vivad Se Vishwas bill has to be taken today in the larger interest of the country. I have agreed. Whether we can have it during lunch time and then continue, or have it after the private members' bill is over. That will be decided between the government and the opposition. That is there.
Discussion and request with all the concerned leader of the party, sir, and everybody has agreed that between 1 to 2:30 that can be finished, sir. Everybody has agreed. My kind request is, I have spoken to all leaders from leader of opposition.
Okay.
Kindly take it at 1 o'clock.
Not 12 o'clock.
1 o'clock, sir. 1 o'clock.
0 hours in Adimul Haq.
Sir, it has been reported that public data published by a Government of India mobile application called the Vahan app is being misused. There is serious concern that this Transport Ministry app, which allows users to identify vehicle owners, is being used by miscreants for targeted violence through ascertaining identity of vehicle owners. The Vahan app makes all vehicle registration records across India publicly available. It allows people to look up the name of a car owner by simply using their vehicle registration number. Such open access to citizens' personal data poses not only a huge privacy risk, but may also lead to a potential risk to human life and public and private property. Sir, in March 2019, the Ministry for Road, Transport and Highways rolled out the bulk data sharing policy, under which it chose to make the vehicle registration database public. Individual consent was not sought for this. It allowed organizations to pay an annual fee of rupees 3 crores and research and education institutions rupees 5 lakhs to access these databases. In July 2019, the databases was sold to about 87 private and 32 government entities at a cost of rupees 65 crores. Sir, in the absence of a personal data protection law to protect people's online privacy, such selling and misuse of data is deeply worrying. I urge the ministry to stop public as well as private access to the data on the portal. Sir, and may I take this opportunity to urge to protect all of us members, not only from our right to data privacy, but also to ask clarifications from a minister after he delivers his speech.
Right.
So what happened yesterday when
No, that's
opposition
not
was not
connected
allowed
with this. That is
clarification
not connected with
is
this.
simply unacceptable.
This is not acceptable. Secretary, you have to go through 0-hour mention and then complete, so that to get some justice. If you go beyond that, then Harnath Singh Yadav.
माननीय सभापति जी, मैं आपके और सदन के माध्यम से जनसंख्या विस्फोट की अत्यंत भयावह स्थिति की ओर सरकार का ध्यान आकृष्ट करता हूं। महोदय, जनसंख्या वृद्धि की अभूतपूर्व स्थिति के कारण से क्षेत्रफल और संसाधनों पर ऐसा दबाव बढ़ रहा है कि बेरोजगारी से लेकर महंगाई तक, अस्पतालों से लेकर सड़कों तक, राशन की कतारों से लेकर रेलवे स्टेशन तक, बाजारों से लेकर न्यायालय तक सभी जगह भीड़ ही भीड़ दिखाई देती है। जनसंख्या वृद्धि के कारण हम बेरोजगारी, खाद्य समस्या, कुपोषण, आवास निर्धनता, कृषि एवं ग्रामीण विकास में बाधा, पर्यावरण तथा जल संकट एवं मानवीय स्वभाव में निरंतर बढ़ते तनाव जैसी अभूतपूर्व परिस्थिति से जूझ रहे हैं। महोदय, वर्ष 1951 में देश की आबादी 38,10,88,400 थी और 2011 की जनगणना के अनुसार देश की आबादी 121 करोड़ हो गई और 2025 तक एक अनुमान के अनुसार 150 करोड़ हो जाएगी। ऐसे में हमें पीने का जल भी नसीब नहीं होगा और वर्तमान में प्रति व्यक्ति जल की जो उपलब्धता है वो 1525 घन मीटर है, जो 2025 में घटकर के मात्र 1060 घन मीटर रह जाएगी। महोदय, प्रसिद्ध अर्थशास्त्री माल्थस ने कहा था कि जनसंख्या दूनी गति से अर्थात 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 के क्रम से बढ़ती है, लेकिन जीवन के संसाधन 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 की गति से बढ़ते हैं। अतः बढ़ती जनसंख्या की भयावह स्थिति को देखते हुए हमें सभी प्रकार के राजनीतिक, धार्मिक, जातीय आदि मत मतांतरों से ऊपर उठकर देश के वर्तमान और स्वर्णिम भविष्य को गढ़ने के लिए अत्यधिक मजबूत और प्रभावी जनसंख्या नियंत्रण कानून बनाने की आवश्यकता है। महोदय, कानून ऐसा होना चाहिए जिसमें हमारे दो का प्रावधान हो और जो व्यक्ति इस कानून का उल्लंघन करें, ऐसे लोगों को सरकार द्वारा दी जाने वाली समस्त सुविधाएं समाप्त कर देनी चाहिए। साथ ही इस कानून को तोड़ने वालों को ग्राम पंचायत, वार्ड से लेकर विधानसभा, लोकसभा आदि के समस्त चुनाव लड़ने पर आजीवन प्रतिबंध लगाना चाहिए। अतः मैं आपके और सदन के माध्यम से सरकार से मांग करता हूं कि जनसंख्या वृद्धि को राष्ट्रीय आपदा मानकर सरकार को जनसंख्या नियंत्रण कानून और कठोर कानून अविलंब और इसी सत्र में बनाना चाहिए। धन्यवाद।
Sri Prashant Nanda.
So the increase of devolution of central taxes from 32% to 42%, following the recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission, is a welcome step. But the effect of increased devolution has been offset to a large extent by several policy decisions of the Union government. These include delinking of 8 centrally sponsored schemes from central support, abolition of normal central assistance, and a steep increase in state share of centrally sponsored schemes. For example, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana PMGSY was earlier fully funded by Government of India, but now the share of Government of India has come down to 60%, requiring 40% funding by the state government as matching share. Similarly, the sharing pattern under National Health Mission NHM and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana PMAY has been revised, with states like Odisha having to contribute 40% share instead of 25% share earlier. Such change in sharing pattern of the centrally sponsored schemes has cast a huge additional financial burden on the states, leading to much less resource for the state schemes appropriate to our needs. I request the Government of India to appreciate the genuine concerns of the state government and consider restoring the earlier sharing pattern of the above noted central sponsored schemes, so that more resources of the state would be available for the state schemes. Thank you.
My suggestion is this has to be said in the House, not read. Sri Dr. L. Hanumantaya.
Thank you, sir. Sir, it is very scary that over 40% of the government schools don't have power and playgrounds in the country. Sir, in this situation, the budgetary allocation of 27% cut from proposals made by school education departments. Sir, despite proposals for 82,570 crores, only 59,845 crores was allocated. Sir, the government school infrastructure is glaringly inadequate that only 56% of schools have electricity. Particularly in Manipur and Madhya Pradesh, less than 20% access to power. Sir, the government schools, children from rural background and marginalized section of the society are studying in these government schools, sir. Sir, according to Unified District Information System for Education, that is UDISE, survey 2017 and 18 says, less than 57% of schools have playground, including less than 30% school in Odisha and then Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, under Manrega scheme, to build classrooms and boundary walls for government schools, 2,613 sanctioned projects for 1920, only 3 had been completed as end of the financial year, sir. Sir, in government higher secondary schools, not a single additional classroom is built. By December 31st, 2019, although 1,021 projects have been sanctioned. Sir, this is a very sad part. Thousands of projects were sanctioned, not even one has been built, and in the other case, only 3 projects were completed as of that date, sir. Sir, only 3 laboratories are built against 1,343 sanctioned projects, out of which 135 libraries, 74 art and culture rooms. Sir, overall, the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, only 71% is spent, which is very, very disappointing. Sir, my concern is, children from these backgrounds, rural background and marginalized section of the society, have no access for their studies of computer particularly, which is very, very necessary in these days. So I request the government, use solar energy, has to be used in these schools where the electricity connectivity is not there, and the project
Right.
which is given has to be
Right.
completed.
Associate, please send your names, and then I may repeat again. I don't want to disturb Hanumantaya ji in between. The 0-hour submission has to be mentioned, not to be read. You can quote some figure, then you can go through the notes. Otherwise, that is the practice. Please follow, let everybody understand. Professor Manoj Kumar Jha.
शुक्रिया सभापति महोदय। शुक्रिया इसलिए भी कि पहले भी आपने मुझे इजाज़त दी इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले को उठाने के लिए। सर, पूरे देश में जो भी हमारी प्राथमिकताएं हैं, वो सबसे पहले इस बात पे निर्भर करती हैं कि शिक्षा और शिक्षक नियोजन को लेकर के हमारी क्या चिंताएं हैं। सर, मैं आपके माध्यम से ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि NIOS वाले मसले पर पहले भी मैंने कहा था कि इसी सरकार पुरानी जो 14 से 19 की थी, उसके फैसले को आने के बाद पलट दिया गया, जिसकी वजह से लाखों अभ्यर्थी परेशानी में हैं। कमोबेश वही परिस्थिति उत्तर प्रदेश में 69,000 शिक्षकों की है। नियोजित शिक्षकों का मसला पूरे देश में हाहाकार मचाए हुए है सर। समान काम के लिए समान वेतन और शिक्षा प्रेरक जो साक्षर भारत मिशन का हिस्सा था, अचानक से बीच रास्ते बंद किया गया। 5 लाख से ऊपर पूरे देश में। और मैं समझता हूं कि सर, अभी बहुत सारी हमारी गंभीर चिंताएं बाकी थी साक्षरता को लेकर के, शिक्षा को लेकर के। कमोबेश यही परिस्थिति मैं देख रहा हूं उच्च शिक्षा में। सर, आप खुद चांसलर हैं विश्वविद्यालय के और अलग अलग विश्वविद्यालयों में। मानव संसाधन विकास मंत्रालय, केंद्रीय मंत्री महोदय, राज्यों से संपर्क करें। राज्यों में जो विश्वविद्यालय हैं वहां नियुक्तियां हो। विद्यालयों, ये जो नियोजित शिक्षक का मसला है, शिक्षा प्रेरक का, इस पर पहलकदमी हो ताकि हमारी जो चिंता है, जो लाखों लोगों की चिंताएं हैं, उसे दूर किया जा सके और एक शिक्षित और समृद्ध भारत बनने की ओर सिर्फ रेटोरिकल नहीं, एक एक्चुअल प्रोसेस में हम जाएं। शुक्रिया सर, जय हिंद।
धन्यवाद मनोज जी। श्री कनकमेडला रविंद्र कुमार।
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Now the time has come to discuss and to evolve a national policy with regard to the formation of capitals in the country. Earlier during the NDA regime, 3 states have been divided, and the respective states of Uttarakhand, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh have established respective capitals. Subsequently, in the UPA regime, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana has been divided in pursuance of the AP Reorganization Act 2014. Subsequent to the division of the Andhra Pradesh, the residuary state of Andhra Pradesh, as per the provisions section 5 and 6 of the AP Reorganization Act, the then state government has passed a resolution and established a state capital by name Amravati. It consisting of 29 villages. The villages...
29?
Sir, I am concerned.
Right.
Sir, the villagers have voluntarily, the farmers have voluntarily donated 33,000 acres under land pooling system for the establishment of capital. After establishment of capital, the then state government has constructed several buildings, including Secretariat, High Court and Assembly. The central government also obliged to grant 1,500 crores for the construction of the capital. Likewise, the Honorable Prime Minister has laid a foundation stone for the construction of the capital of Amravati. While the matter stood thus, in the year 2019 May, a new government came into power. Unfortunately, the government has taken a decision and passed a bill in the State Assembly under the premise of decentralization of capitals. They have decentralization of capitals, 3 capitals wants to establish. One is judicial capital and legislative capital and executive capital. But there is no such provision in the AP Reorganization Act. In the AP Reorganization Act, it's confined to the extent of only one capital has to be decided. The capital has already been decided and established huge crores of money and constructed. The government is functioning for the last 5.5 years from the same place. At this juncture, the state government has taken such a decision, which is disturbed the entire state. Now, this is the time. Once huge country with distinct geographical and cultural diversities, beside regional inequalities, such diversities have to be potential to give birth demands of administrative decentralization in the form of regional capital. Since the national capital Delhi is located far away from different geographical regions of our country, similar demands may come across in the country. If the state of Andhra Pradesh is only consisting of 13 districts, it is permitted to such a demand. It is better to evolve a national policy by deciding and discussing and debating before.
Ravindra Kumar ji, thank you. Sri Associate, add the names. Sri Ravi Prakash Verma.
धन्यवाद सर। सर मैं आभारी हूँ आपने मुझे मौका दिया। सर पूर्वोत्तर रेलवे के लखनऊ मंडल के अंतर्गत मैलानी पलिया नानपारा बहराइच प्रखंड पर वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों द्वारा सेवाएं समाप्त करने का निर्णय लिया गया है, जिसके कारण क्षेत्रीय नागरिकों को एकदम से बहुत बड़ी परेशानी खड़ी हो गई है। ये पूरा क्षेत्र जंगलों से आच्छादित है तथा इस रूट पर सड़क यातायात की सीधी सेवाएं उपलब्ध नहीं है। सर ये भारत नेपाल सीमा प्रांत पर पड़ने वाला अत्यंत ही महत्वपूर्ण रेल लिंक है, जिसका लाभ जनपद लखीमपुर, खीरी, पीलीभीत एवं बहराइच के हजारों लोग प्रतिदिन उठाते रहे हैं। सर सदन के माध्यम से ये आग्रह करना है कि इस रेल प्रखंड पर रेल यातायात को पुनः शीघ्र ही चालू करने का प्रयास किया जाए। सर इसके साथ में ही लखनऊ से जो बरेली कनेक्शन है NER का, सर उस पर गेज कन्वर्जन चल रहा है। सर वो मैलानी तक हो गया है, मैलानी से पीलीभीत तक होना बाकी है। सर उस पर कार्य बहुत स्लो चल रहा है। मैं आपके माध्यम से सरकार से कहना चाहता हूं कि इस कार्य को तेज करें, जिससे कि इस महत्वपूर्ण लिंक को रेल के माध्यम से जोड़ा जा सके। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद प्रकाश जी। श्री P. Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Sir, though on the paper the Election Commission of India is an independent agency, in reality the independence is a mirage and myth. Sir, free and fair elections are the most important facet of democracy. They are meant to ascertain the true popular will and are not mere rituals to generate an illusion of choice. Sir, Article 324 of the Constitution entrusts the power to conduct elections to an independent body, the Election Commission of India. The Constituent Assembly from the very beginning was keen to entrust the job of conducting election to an independent body and therefore expected a parliamentary law under Article 324(2) relating to the appointments of the Chief Election Commissioner and another election commissioner. Thus, our constitution makers wanted to keep the post of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner outside the sole control of executive government. However, till today, Parliament has not enacted any such law. The Honourable President of India continues to appoint the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner solely on the basis of the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. In other words, the Executive has the complete control over the appointments of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner. Sir, institutions are only as strong as the public faith in them. Considering the sensitive nature of the Election Commission's task, if the public perceives the institution as partisan or powerless, institution loses its vitality. Therefore, it is imperative that the Election Commission of India is manned by the officers who are impartial, independent, and possess impeccable integrity. It may even be advisable to avoid appointing career bureaucrats who are at some point of time close to the leaders of political parties under whom they have served as secretaries to the government. That is why we have also to think about appointing independent members of civil society as the head of the Election Commission of India to protect the institutional integrity of the Election Commission of India. Sir, there is a need to appoint regional commissioners who are conversant with the affairs of the states. The growth in population and number of political parties has thrown to light the inability of 3 persons sitting in Delhi to manage the conduct of election across the country. The Election Commission of India should also have its own enforcement officer. Sir, in the absence of parliamentary oversight over the functioning of Election Commission of India, the 3 election commissioners virtually decide the fate of world's largest democracy. Should we allow this to happen? It reminds me of a Latin legal maxim, quaes custodiet ipsos custodes. Who will guard the guardians? That is a challenge before us. That is why the Election Commission of India will have at least answer to somebody other than the ruling party. I am not saying parliamentary control, but oversight. Therefore, it is high time this August House enacts a robust law enabling a truly independent election commission. Such a law, among other things, must provide for appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner by the Honourable President of India on the recommendation of a high-powered selection committee similar to the selection committee constituted under the Lokpal and Lok Ayuktas Act 2013 and parliamentary oversight over the ECI's functioning. Sir, only by ensuring that the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner is transparent, objective and not partisan, we can expect the Election Commission of India to be a neutral body. Without such a comprehensive
Wilson,
law,
please
Election
conclude.
Commission will remain a caged parrot.
Thank you. Sri Associate, please send the names. Vinay Viswam.
Sir, the spread of corona is on the increase, sir. It affects the whole life of India. States after states, reports are being reported. And the people are really having some apprehensions. We repeat to say that no need to be panic. That is true also. This is not the moment to be panic. But we have to be very careful and we have to be responsible also, sir. Sir, it has affected every walks of life. The stock market is affected, industry is affected, the people's normal life is affected, schools are closed, some places, even the assemblies are even thinking of cutting short of the span of durations, and all these are happening in the country. Sir, for corona, science and health experts say that prevention is a must. For that, masks are a necessity and sanitizers. Sir, all over the country, now they are not available for the people. Even black marketeers have come to the scene. The prices are going up like anything. For a mask which cost only less than 10 rupees earlier, it has become 50, 70, even 100, but not available. Howdy has begun. Sir, the common people, the poor people, the workers, the daily wages, they affect the most. Because in many places, the MSMEs are affected and they are getting closed. So the workers have no work there. In tourism industry, daily wages have no work. And many people like this who are living on their daily wages have no work, so no pay. And for this kind of people, there is no possibility to have a mask for such a big price. And many of them don't know the necessity also.
Sir, my point is that allow the people a possibility to have free masks by the governments. Sir, prevention is better than cure, sir. The cost of treating the thousands of people is much higher than giving a free mask for a common man.
Right.
Sir, please produce the masks in large scale and give them free of cost, sir. Thank you, sir.
We have to be careful while talking about this, and we should not spread the fear. Today, there is an international medical expert opinion given by Dr. Bruce Lipton. The conclusion, I'm not reading, the conclusion is fear of the coronavirus is more deadly than the virus itself. So let us not create panic, because very, very beautifully written, but meaningful also. One has to be very careful while taking preventive steps, but we should not allow this panic to spread across the country. And India, fortunately, because of weather, because of our own lifestyle, because of our other things, we are comparatively stronger and we are capable of fighting it back. Well, I see a point in what he has said, but it has to be carefully analyzed and then go by the medical advice rather than general perception. Sri Vedamaram Karim.
Thank you, sir. The Ministry of Road Transport, through an amendment to Central Motor Vehicle Rules, lifted off the provisions necessitating long-distance trucks and national permit vehicles to have more than one driver while plying on roads. This move of the ministry was condemned by all sections related to motor transport sector except the truck owners. As we all know that the national permit vehicles, especially trucks, travels thousands of kilometers daily for delivering goods and other things all over the country. As a result of the competition among transport companies to get more business, the drivers are being victimized and compelled to work around the clock. Due to these long duty hours, stress and strain on drivers, accidents are happening on the roads on daily basis. This is the reason why the motor vehicle rules mandated there should be more than one person, one driver and a helper with driving license in all national permit vehicles. But unfortunately, the recent amendment brought in by the government lifted of this provision. As we all know, a tragedy happened in Avinashi, Tamil Nadu, in which 19 people lost their life in an accident. The primary inference about the reason for this accident is that the truck driver slept while driving. There was only one driver in the truck during that time. As I mentioned before, this driver also a victim of the competition among the transport agencies. The restless work, the reason for that truck driver to sleep while driving. In the same way, accidents are happening everywhere in the country. Innocent people are dying on roads. In this scenario, I request the attention of this August House on this important issue and urge upon the government to reinstate the provisions in the Central Motor Vehicle Rules necessitating 2 drivers in national permit vehicles. Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद हमारा करेंगे नाम भेज दीजिए जोड़ जाएगा Dr. Sasmit Patra.
Sir. Honorable Chairman, sir, while there are many pressing issues of domestic areas in India, there has been something that has really happened in Afghanistan that we should be actually looking at. Very recently, there was an agreement between the United States and Taliban in order to hand over Afghanistan to Taliban, and the agreement was with the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. So Taliban as a word, we understand what it really means. So having said that, now that United States is handed over and over the next 14 months will fully withdraw from Afghanistan and hand over the entire territory to Taliban is actually a cause of major concern for India, sir. Primarily because, number one, we are saying that neighborhood first, and we are saying that we are a contiguous territory with Afghanistan, so they are a neighbor. Having said that, sir, over the next 14 months, as United States will withdraw, there are large spaces of Afghanistan which are not controlled by Taliban, sir. those spaces are susceptible for Pakistan to actually push terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba, sir. So in the agreement that was actually signed between the United States and Taliban, there is a reference to Al-Qaeda, which states that Al-Qaeda and other organizations will not be allowed to operate on Afghanistan soil. But it is silent, interestingly, about Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba, who are actually the main perpetrators on Indian soil, sir. So therefore, sir, there are 2 or 3 major points I want to raise. First is, in terms of our approach, we need to redraw the geopolitics and the neighborhood-first foreign policy of our country, sir. Earlier, we used to say Taliban is the enemy, but now we'll have to deal with Taliban as a governing body of our nation, sir. Having said that, sir, number 1, strengthen the BIMSTEC policy and the BIMSTEC framework. I think somewhere, sir, BIMSTEC has come up as a major platform as compared to SAARC. Secondly, look at the movements in terms of investments and interest of India in Afghanistan. So over the last 15, 17 years, if you see, by the time Karzai government has come to power in Afghanistan, India has invested heavily in infrastructure. We have major interest in energy there as well, sir. So therefore, sir, even the pipeline that comes from Iran that we are planning is an important area, sir. Thirdly, sir, I would like to say, focus on China again. Somewhere we are silent about China, but the withdrawal of United States will render China a large space and territory, and the access of Afghanistan, China, and Pakistan will have an impact on the South Asian countries, sir, especially India. And finally, sir, we need to redraw the entire foreign policy of neighborhood first, consisting that now we have to contend with Taliban as the legitimate ruler of Afghanistan, and considering that there was agreement, 5,000 Talibans who were arrested and in jail, they will be now withdrawn. So 5,000 Taliban fighters who were in jail are now being withdrawn, are being released now by this agreement. So it is going to have some serious.
Right. Muraliji, I think there is need for some clarification subsequently, because what I understood is agreement between America and Taliban is different. Handing over Afghanistan to Taliban is not actually the position, I suppose. So let the External Affairs Ministry take note of it. It's a larger national interest in the context of what has happened. And if at all the minister, please, I'm saying something, please. I'm just asking the minister to take note of it. If he want to respond later, if the government, because it's a delicate foreign policy related issue, you can do it. The Sri Mahesh Poddar, even please see, and the chairman is saying something, nobody should try to intervene in between or disrupt, not only the chairman, for that matter, any member. The श्री महेश पोद्दार।
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। महोदय, मैं शून्यकाल के जरिए आप सभी का ध्यान देश में निरंतर होते एक घटना की ओर आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं, जिसे हम सब जानते हैं लेकिन हम नज़रअंदाज कर रहे हैं। महोदय, ये तो तथ्य है कि मनुष्य की मृत्यु यात्रा वो जब जन्मता है उसी क्षण से शुरू हो जाती है, लेकिन हाल ही में संसद में मानव संसाधन विकास मंत्रालय द्वारा बताए गए आंकड़े हमारे देश में छात्रों के दर्द और मानसिक पीड़ा के कुछ तथ्य उजागर करता है और बताता है कि 2016 और 18 के बीच में करीब 10,000 आत्महत्याएं छात्रों ने की है। महोदय, 3 वर्षों में महाराष्ट्र में 4235, तमिलनाडु में 3744, मध्य प्रदेश में 2658 और पश्चिम बंगाल में 2535 छात्रों ने किसी न किसी कारणवश अपनी ज़िंदगी को ख़त्म करने का निर्णय लिया है। महोदय, एक और चौंका देने वाली बात है कि वैश्विक स्तर पे 15 से 29 वर्ष के बच्चों में आत्महत्या की दर ज़्यादा पाई जाती है और बताते हैं कि हर दिन 28 छात्र आत्महत्या करते हैं, यानी कि ये सुनकाल जब तक ख़त्म होगा तब तक किसी कहीं कोने में एक छात्र ने और आत्महत्या कर ली होगी। महोदय, कई कारण इसके बताए जाते हैं, लेकिन परीक्षा में फेलियर ही मात्र एक कारण नहीं है, बल्कि परिवार के मुद्दे, प्रेम प्रसंग और बीमारी भी इसमें प्रमुख योगदान है। चिंता की बात यह है कि उन्हें जीने की और ज़िंदगी के प्रति अवगत कराने की हमारी क्या प्रक्रिया है, इस बारे में चिंता करने की दरकार है। महोदय, मैं ये ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि हाल में अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप की भारत यात्रा के दौरान दोनों देशों ने स्वास्थ्य और तेल के क्षेत्रों में 3 महत्वपूर्ण समझौते पर हस्ताक्षर किए। उल्लेखनीय इशारों में दोनों देशों के स्वास्थ्य विभागों ने इनोवेटिव मेजर्स और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के माध्यम से मानसिक स्वास्थ्य चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए एक समझौते को भी सील दिया। समझौता भारत को मानसिक स्वास्थ्य मुद्दों के इलाज में अमेरिका के अनुभव से सीखने में सक्षम करेगा। परंतु महोदय, मैं समझता हूं कि भारतीय संस्कृति और इतिहास के परिप्रेक्ष्य में हमें जो अपनी पुरानी परंपराओं हैं उनको भी जिंदा रखने की आवश्यकता है। यह जानना दिलचस्प है महोदय कि 2018 में अवसाद डिप्रेशन से निपटने के लिए और बढ़ती आत्महत्याओं के कारण के जांच के बाद में ब्रिटेन सरकार ने अकेलेपन पर एक मिनिस्टर, लोनलीनेस मिनिस्टर को अपॉइंट किया है। महोदय, ये एक हमारे यहाँ डिप्रेशन को लेकर के चर्चा करना भी वर्जित माना जाता है और उसे पागलपन माना जाता है, और यदि इस भारत को इस समस्या का समाधान करना है तो इस दृष्टिकोण को बदलने के लिए
राइट। धन्यवाद। श्री विश्वम्बर प्रसाद निषाद। प्लीज सेंड योर नेम।
माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं एक विशेष अति महत्वपूर्ण विषय को आज आपके माध्यम से उठाना चाहता हूँ। मानवर पूरे देश में पिछड़े वर्ग की संख्या जो है 54% से ज़्यादा है और लगातार पिछड़े वर्ग के लोगों की मांग चली आ रही है कि क्रीमी लेयर खत्म समाप्त किया जाए, क्योंकि मानवर क्रीमी लेयर की वजह से तमाम बच्चे जो यूपीएससी की परीक्षा 300 से ज़्यादा पास किए हैं वो उनको ट्रेनिंग पे नहीं भेजा जा रहा। इसी तरह से पूरे देश में जो है, क्योंकि 1993 में पिछड़े वर्ग के लोगों के लिए आरक्षण की व्यवस्था थी, आज तक केवल 6% जो है, 27% में 6% जो है विभिन्न सेवाओं में उनकी पूर्ति हो पाई है। आज न्यायालय में तो कोई ओबीसी का आरक्षण नहीं है, न्यायालय में भी मांग चली आ रही है कि न्यायालय में भी जो है ओबीसी का आरक्षण होना चाहिए। विश्वविद्यालय में, महाविद्यालयों में एकल पद लगा करके मानवर वहाँ पर जो है ओबीसी के लोगों की संख्या नगण्य हो गई है, वहाँ कोई प्रतिनिधित्व नहीं मिल रहा है। पूरे देश में जो ओबीसी है केवल केंद्र की सेवाओं में तो आरक्षण मिलता है, राज्यवार जो सूची बनी हुई है, अगर एक प्रदेश का ओबीसी का व्यक्ति दूसरे प्रदेश चला जाता है तो वहाँ समान कैटेगरी में हो जाता है। इसलिए तमाम दिक्कतें होती, चूँकि रोजगार की कमी है, रोजगार की कमी के कारण लोग एक जिले से दूसरे जिले जाते हैं, एक प्रदेश से दूसरे प्रदेश जाते हैं, तो ये इनको लाभ नहीं मिल पाता है। इसी तरह मानवर आपको बताना चाहते हैं कि जो विभिन्न श्रेणी की काखा गाघा के वर्ग की तमाम नियुक्तियां हैं जो आज रिक्त पड़ी हैं, उनमें जो है संविदा पे उनको भरा जा रहा है। तो हमारी मांग है कि जो क्रीमी लेयर लगाया गया है पिछड़े वर्ग पे, उसको समाप्त करने की आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि जो पिछड़े वर्ग के बच्चे हैं उनमें घोर जो है निराशा और हताशा है और तमाम बच्चे जो है आत्महत्याएं कर रहे हैं। डॉक्टर राम मनोहर लोहिया जी ने कहा था, सन छुपा ने बांधी गांठ, समय पिछड़े पाँव 60। आज 54% से अधिक आबादी रखने वाले लोग, उनकी जो है विभिन्न सेवाओं में पूरे देश में नौकरियों में जो है आज उनकी नगण्य सेवा है, क्योंकि इनकी कोई गणना नहीं है। 2021 में जनगणना हो रही है, अगर पिछड़े वर्ग की जनगणना हो जाए कितने लोग हैं तो हम समझते हैं कि 54 से ज़्यादा निकलेंगे। तो जातिवार जनगणना भी कराने की मांग लोगों की चली आ रही कि जो 2021 की जनगणना हो रही है, जातिवार जनगणना कराई जाए और क्रीमी लेयर जो है इनका समाप्त किया जाए, क्योंकि क्रीमी लेयर की वजह से जो है पूरे देश में जो है बड़ी हताशा निराशा है। मानवर आर्थिक आधार पर जो समान वर्ग के लोगों को 10% आरक्षण दिया गया था, उसमें प्राइवेट सेक्टर में और एजुकेशन क्षेत्र में उनको तो आरक्षण मिल गया, लेकिन पिछड़े वर्ग के लोगों को, एससी के लोगों को जो है प्राइवेट सेक्टर में, एजुकेशन में और प्राइवेट नौकरी में आरक्षण नहीं मिला है। इसकी भी मांग है कि चूँकि क्रीमी लेयर से जो है लोगों को हताशा निराशा है, इसलिए हमारी मांग है कि क्रीमी लेयर जो है समाप्त किया जाए और जो है पिछड़े वर्ग के जो लोग हैं उनको जो समान वर्ग के आर्थिक।
धन्यवाद। श्री शिव प्रताप शुक्ला नाम भेज। यू हैव टू सेंड योर स्लिप, whoever want to be included.
धन्यवाद मानवर। मैं माननीय सदन का ध्यान विभिन्न भाषाओं के संदर्भ में आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं। भाषा सिर्फ अभिव्यक्ति नहीं है, बल्कि हमारी संस्कृति और सभ्यता को जोड़ने के लिए भी एक अच्छा माध्यम है। मान्यवर, 1961 में देश में जो जनगणना के आधार पर लगभग 1652 भाषाएं और बोलियां हैं, जिनमें 22 ऐसी भाषाएं हैं जिन्हें ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज का अधिकार मिला हुआ है। मनोहर, मैं आपको भी इसके लिए धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि आपने लोगों को प्रोत्साहित किया, प्रवोक किया कि वो अपनी अपनी बोलियों में, अपनी अपनी भाषाओं में सदन में भी अपने विचार को व्यक्त करें। लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात यह होती है कि जब लोग अपने विचार व्यक्त करते हैं तो अधिकांश लोगों को उसकी जानकारी नहीं हो पाती है कि ये क्या बोल रहे हैं। मैं निश्चित रूप से ये कहना चाहता हूँ, इसमें संस्कृत है, तमिल है, कन्नड़ है, तेलुगु है, मलयालम है, उड़िया है, ऐसी शास्त्रीय भाषाएं हैं जिनमें देश की सांस्कृतिक धरोहर बोलती है कि एक सबका सब छुपा हुआ है। मैं देश की सांस्कृतिक इसके आधार पर साहित्य प्रचारित और प्रसारित करना, इसमें विद्यमान सांस्कृतिक धरोहर को सुरक्षित करना तथा देश में जितनी भी भाषा चले उसमें हिंदी आज देश के कोने कोने में बोली भी जाती है, समझी भी जाती है। आज जो 22 भाषाएं ऐसी हैं जो ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज हैं, मेरा आग्रह है कि अगर उसकी लिपि को पूरी तौर पर देवनागरी लिपि कर दिया जाए तो पूरे सदन में जितने लोग हैं जो भी बोलेंगे उनकी समझ में वह बात आ जाएगी। जो प्रोत्साहन आपने दिया है वह सभी निश्चित रूप से आ जाएगा। तो मैं आपके माध्यम से सरकार का ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं कि उन एक ऑफिशियल 22 भाषाओं का जो है लिपि जो है वह देवनागरी लिपि किया जाए और उसमें छपाया भी जाए, यहाँ बोला भी जाए, लोगों को जानकारी मिल सके।
Please sit down. You are not. This is not a debate. This is not a debate. Please, please. No, please. Please. There is no debate, Mr. Vaiko. You know, this will not go on record. He has expressed his view.
Mr. Vaiko,
you have got a right to agree or disagree.
I want to learn the language.
Please. No. Let there be no unnecessary controversy in this.
तो माननीय आपके माध्यम से मैं सरकार का ध्यान आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं कि इसको अगर कर दिया जाए तो निश्चित रूप से हर भाषाओं की जानकारी सभी लोगों की हो सकेगी और अधिकांश भाषाओं की लिपि आज या है भी उसको पूरा किया जाए। धन्यवाद माननीय।
Right. See, every member has got a right to express view when permitted, and if any member disagree with him, they have got a right to disagree, but not here in this, because in this rule only member can make his views. You don't agree, don't agree. I agree that you don't agree. Dr. Sonal Mansingh.
Thank you, sir. I want to draw the attention of this august House to something that may seem is not of immediate importance, but I think the echoes go far and wide. Recently, a dance presentation in classical Bharatanatyam style was presented by a group of professional Indian male dancers in Canada, portraying our Puranas in unacceptable way. They transgressed all boundaries of decency in the name of artistic freedom. Notwithstanding human rights of any particular group, sir, they have deeply hurt the faith, beliefs, and religious sentiments of crores of Hindus. This deserves to be condemned by this august House, and the group should not be performing in India at least. Echoes of such liberal, intellectual, secular comments and actions are also found in India. But this production on stage, sir, gave it a third dimension. It is obscene and vulgar, to say the least, and extremely hurtful to large community of not only artists, but people of Hindu faith. Our beliefs and concepts are deeply philosophical, which point to significant socio-cultural issues. Making fun of any faith is highly uncivilized and has to be condemned. Sir, may I also mention at this point that we have ignored the urgent need to set up chairs in North American universities, with the help, of course, of the NRI Indians, because the skewed and weird views touted by so-called intellectual writers, American writers, whose books form integral part of MA, PhD courses in North American, that is Canada and United States of America's universities, which have a large following and readership across the world. They form very skewed and bizarre views, they tout them, and sir, the result of these I may mention with apology to you, sir, and to this House, that books which say that the Vedic rishis were sex maniacs and the rituals of Rig Veda were actually incantations and invocation for sexual prowess. All this is written in the books which are read and recommended for MA PhD courses. Sir, there are no chairs on Hinduism in any North American university.
Right.
Neither do we have any other means of fighting this, sir. So the echoes are far and wide. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma. Sri Tiruchi Siva.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Sir, our railways is considered to be people-friendly and pro-poor, sir. The World Bank report says that Indian Railways is one of the largest railways under single management, sir. Sir, it carried around 19.8 million passengers in the year 2009.
Sanjay Babu. Sanjay Babu.
And now, sir, in the year 2017-18, it carries 22.70 million passengers every day, sir. And in the year 2017, it has carried 8,286 million passengers as against 8,116. It is increasing. Sir, in this situation, the government is venturing to privatize the railways. To two of my questions, the railways has replied, sir, that close to 122 private trains are to be launched, and routes and destinations has been earmarked. The railways had also claimed that the trains will be run by private entities, but it is the government staff who will work on board these trains. Sir, the questions that arise in this situation, who will be responsible for paying these government staff? And will these staff members become a part of the private entity that runs these trains or continue to be government employees? Sir, with privatization of the railways, the trade unions fear that a lot of permanent workers will lose their job. Sir, another question of mine was answered by the Railway Ministry that in these lines, government trains will not be stopped and they will continue to run along with the private trains. Sir, in that case, this contradicts the first reply, as government workers will be required for running the existing trains with the government. And how will the railway traffic be managed with the release of private trains? Sir, no public discussion was initiated with regard to the privatization of the railways, sir. The government has also replied that there will be no regulation of fares for these private trains. In this situation, government trains will be considered to be for the poor and the private trains will be for the richer, for they will provide more facilities. Sir, this will also initiate to class division, sir. The quality of government trains will constantly deteriorate. Sir, for example, the Air India couldn't compete with the private airlines and now it is totally off the scene. So this fate will in a decade happen to the Indian Railways also, sir. So we are very much concerned. Sir, the Metroman E. Sridharan said there are too many uncertainties, two types of fares and two types of trains will create confusion. Private players will find it difficult to work with the railways and abandon it midway. Sir, my suggestion is at least don't privatize. If at all you are privatizing, at least create a regulator to fix the fares for the private trains, which will not discriminate the poor people from traveling the trains. Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sri Kirodimal Meena. Kirodimal Meena. Send the names.
मेरे को एसोसिएट करना भाई साहब
Kirodilal Meena. Sorry, Kirodilal.
माननीय सभापति जी, देश के कई हिस्सों में जबरदस्त ओलावृष्टि के कारण किसानों की फसल तबाह हो गई। हरियाणा, मध्य प्रदेश, उत्तर प्रदेश का कुछ हिस्सा, राजस्थान के करीबन 18 जिलों में प्रकृति के इस कहर के कारण फसल पूरी तरह से चौपट हो गई। सभापति महोदय, पशुओं के चराने के लिए चारा तक नहीं बचा। ऐसे प्रकरणों में माननीय सभापति जी, आपदा में केंद्र सरकार एनडीआरएफ के तहत किसानों को सहायता देती है। हमारे राजस्थान में 1 हेक्टेयर जो गेहूं है वो करीबन 1.25 लाख 1.5 लाख का किसान तैयार करता है और एनडीआरएफ में सहायता मिलती है मात्र 13,500 रुपये प्रति हेक्टेयर के हिसाब से, जो अपर्याप्त है। 1.5 लाख किसान पैदा करे, मिले मात्र 13,500, तो ये बहुत कम है। इसी तरह से किसी की झोपड़ी
गिर जाए तो 4100, टीन शेड गिर जाए तो 2100, मकान ध्वस्त हो जाए तो मात्र 95,000 रुपये, भैंस गाय ऊँट पर मात्र 30,000 रुपये और भेड़ बकरी पर 3,000 रुपये दिया जाता है। मैंने ये मुद्दा माननीय सभापति महोदय इसीलिए सदन में उठाया है कि एनडीआरएफ के जो मापदंड है अगर वो रिवाइज कर दिए जाएं और थोड़ी ठीक स्थिति में किसानों को सहायता दे दी जाए तो बड़ा अच्छा होगा। दूसरा, माननीय सभापति महोदय, राजस्थान में जो प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना है उसका इस स्टेट शेयर राजस्थान सरकार ने जमा नहीं कराया। उस स्टेट शेयर जमा नहीं कराने के कारण वहाँ के किसानों को न तो खरीफ का पैसा मिला न रबी का पैसा मिला। करीबन 2,115 रुपये स्टेट शेयर का राजस्थान सरकार ने नहीं जमा कराया है, जिसके कारण राजस्थान के किसानों को किसी प्रकार का नुकसान अभी तक न खरीफ का मिला न रबी का मिला। दूसरा, जितनी बीमित फसल है, केसीसी, कोऑपरेटिव बैंक, कॉमर्शियल बैंक या दूसरे मार्ग से किसान ने जो बीमा कराया है वो उसके किसी काम का इसलिए नहीं है कि राजस्थान सरकार की लापरवाही के कारण किसानों का जो है वो पैसा नहीं मिल पा रहा है। ऐसे में हम सरकार से मांग करते हैं कि किसानों के इस प्रकार के कर्जे माफ़ किए जाएं, एक 6 महीने के बिजली के बिल माफ़ किए जाएं। स्थिति बहुत ज़्यादा खराब है तो रोजगार के काम, विशेषकर नरेगा के काम बड़े पैमाने पर किए जाएं और विशेष चारा डिपो वगैरह खोलकर के पशुओं को बचाया जाए। एनएफएसए के तहत विशेष अनाज बांटने की व्यवस्था की जाए। कुछ फसल कई जगह पूरी तरह से किसानों के खेत में जमींदोज हो गई है, ऐसी फसल का सर्वे कराकर उसका पैसा।
राइट, धन्यवाद जी।